Hey everybody, and welcome to today's video. I'm going to talk to you about media credentials, also known as press passes. I'm going to answer 3 questions. Number 1, do you need a press pass? Number 2, if you do need a press pass, how do you get one? And number 3, do press passes give you superpowers? Hey everybody, Craig Glass here with you, sportsphoto101.com, and today we're talking about press passes. So let's jump right into it. Question number 1, do you need a press pass? The answer is yes, no, and maybe. So I've confused you probably, so let's walk through this. If you're shooting upper level college sports as well as professional sports, you will definitely need media credentials, aka a press pass of some sort, for not only access to the playing surface, but also the players themselves. How do you get these? Well, it helps if you're working for a news gathering organization that covers these events, or if you know somebody who knows somebody, or if you get really lucky. So for now, we're going to put that on the shelf and not talk about that. So let's drop down a few levels to junior college, community college. Do you need a press pass? Yes, no, maybe. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So what you do is you contact the SID or AD, so Sports Information Director or the Athletic Director, and you say, hey, this is what I want to do. Do I need a press pass? A couple that I've covered said, no, you don't need a press pass. Just let us know you're going to be there. We'll put your name on a list type of thing. However, in my experience, once you get to the tournament level play of these smaller colleges, you will need a press pass from the organization running the tournament play. So you will still need to contact them to get your press pass. So that's where that yes, no, maybe comes in. You may need one just to get into the basic games, but you may not. But once you get into a certain level of play, you're definitely going to need a press pass. This leads us to high school sports. And do you need a press pass for high school sports? Yes, no, and maybe are the answers again. All right, I know I'm really confusing you here. Let's start with the no. Most smaller schools do not require a press pass to give you access to shooting the players on the field or on the court. You may need it if you want to get in free. That's usually pretty cheap to get into these games, so not that big of a deal. Now, you might need one on the bigger schools. Some bigger schools require a press pass. Now, you definitely need one if you're going to be shooting the playoffs, because that's a whole different ball game. See what I did there? Whole different ball game. Because there are state organizations that handle all those levels of play, the tournament play. You will have to contact them. Okay, we've made it through the answers for question number 1, the yes, no, and maybe. Let's move on to question number 2. But before we do that, if you had a chance to shoot anything you wanted and could get any press pass for any event in the world, what would you go and shoot? Leave your answers in the comments below. So how do you get a press pass? Okay, so for this example, we're going to say you got some new equipment over the summer. You've been using it, new camera lens, and you're really enjoying it. And you decided, I want to shoot some sports. I want to shoot some high school sports. I want to shoot high school sports football. So let's use that as our example. So first thing I would do, this is how my process, when I get to a new state or when I'm approaching a new state, I always start at the top. Start with the athletic association that's in charge of that state, such as the AIA for Arizona, Arizona Interscholastic Association, OSAA for Oregon, Oregon State Activities Association, and so on. I always start at the top. You go to their website, and there's always a media tab in the menu, and you can follow the media tab down, and it will give you the information you need on how you get a press pass. At the same time, I'm also contacting the athletic director and saying, this is who I am, this is what I want to do. Now, there is one problem you may run into. They're going to ask you, why should we give you a press pass? So in your email to the athletic director, be upfront with him. Tell him you want to be a sports photographer, or you're interested in shooting sports, but you want to get some good access, and just be truthful with him. Say, this is what I want. I want to help promote the kids more, get their photos out there, get their names out there, and say, hey, I'll even throw in some photos. I'll give you 5 photos or something like that. Do not sell your soul and give them all your photos. Offer to give them a few. It's a good way to get started. Now, the tough part is going to be, if you come to playoff action, you have to go through the state association, like I mentioned earlier, and that could be a little tougher because they're going to want to have proof that you're affiliated with somebody or that you've actually done some sports photography, because they don't want everybody down there, mostly because it gets too crowded and the officials can't do their jobs, the coaches can't do their jobs, they kind of get in the way. Again, we're talking football here. Same thing can kind of happen with lacrosse, soccer, volleyball, everything else. So you just want to make sure, they want to make sure everybody's safe and there's not a whole bunch of people crowding the playing areas, which makes sense. Everybody's got to be safe out there. So it could be a little tougher. So what do you do in those cases? you're kind of screwed, right? What do? You have to have some photos to show them, but even then, you're not affiliated with them, such as as I mentioned, the WIAA, that's the Washington Interscholastic Association, Activities Association. They will only hand out press passes to legitimate news gathering sources. They can't be fan-based, so you can't be just a fan of the sport and you want to get a press pass, and you can't just cover one school. So they're really tight on who they give press passes to and who they don't. So you're going to need to be affiliated with somebody if you want to get to that level. Now, you're probably wondering, how did I get my first press pass? Well, I was actually affiliated with a news gathering organization about 15 years ago. That's how I got my first press pass. But then eventually I broke away from them and started my own cable sports show. So the suggestions I'm giving you are the ones I followed. I contacted the state association to see what I needed to get media credentials, and I contacted the high schools, all of the high schools, because I wanted to cover a wide range. There are about 10 high schools in the area. I wanted to cover all of them. I don't care about getting the games free. I want the access. I want to get as close as I can, because this is where we answer the last question. Do press passes give you superpowers? Yes, they do. Let me explain. Let's go back to the football. Let's go back to talking about football again. There have been a lot of times especially when you get to the playoff action, I've been allowed to be at the coin toss, getting photos and video in a championship type game. I'm right there. I'm in the action. I'm not stuck in the stands. I'm not stuck 10 feet off the sideline. I'm there, baby. I'm right there in the action. It's one of the best feelings you can have. So that's kind of a superpower, because not everybody gets to do that. Also, roaming the sidelines. There's some places I'm allowed to go that others wouldn't be allowed to go because I have a press pass. And this is non-determinative of whether it's a playoff action or not. But it's a good rapport with the officials when they see you're actually officially allowed to be there. It kind of paves the way for you a little more. I've seen people without press passes be asked to leave the court area in a basketball game. But I was allowed to stay because I had a press pass. And I actually started talking to the officials about stuff that was going on. So I got to become friends with some of the officials. But that's the superpower you can get. You can do some things that others can't. You can approach coaches and players and ask them questions. Again, you're going to have one problem. To get the superpower part of the press pass, you're going to need to be affiliated with somebody or prove you're a legitimate news gathering organization, as it keeps getting thrown up because I read it over and over again in all the media websites. Now, here's what you can do. Start your own website. Start your own sports website. That's what I did. I started smalltownsportsnetwork.com. Started my own sports website. It was also part of my cable sports show that I started many years ago. I started that. That made me legitimate. I took photos. I started writing articles, not even long articles, just quick game summaries or stuff like that. That's all you got to do. Just get out there and once you get a web page these days, people take notice and they're like, oh, wow, look, he's legitimate. Let's give him a press pass. It really is almost that easy. Now, when I moved to Oregon, getting the press pass was a little different. Same steps I took, but instead of giving me a year-round pass, they gave me a sport by sport, like football and volleyball, cross country and that type. They gave me those first, and then I slowly built up to the next year I got a full press pass, which was really sweet. So I got that superpower. Okay, so I have homework for you guys this time. First off, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Just don't hit him too hard. He's pretty sensitive today. Your actual homework is, I want you to get a press pass, either by contacting the AD of a school you're interested in shooting or going through the state association. Now, if you go through a state association, I can help you out a little bit. I have a web page which has a link to all of the state associations. You just click on those links, then you have to do the work to find out how to actually get your press pass. It's a little easier in some websites than others, but I think you'll be able to figure it out. So that's your homework, and I want you to report back to me in the comments on whether you were able to or not. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me. And once you've finished all that, you know what you need to do next? Nope, not watch another one of my videos, which I would appreciate, but I would rather you grab your camera, find an activity, some type of sporting activity or something that's action related, and get out and shoot.